Welcome to Dissecting the 80s. I am Tripp, one half of the Mega Podcasting Powers. And with me, as always, is my tag team partner, a man who knows that if a mysterious gift for you arrives with custom wrapping paper with your name on it, handed over by a complete stranger, the correct move is to shut the door and scream for help. The Macho Man Drew.
Andrew Leno. But also, the idea of the custom wrapping paper is very appealing to me.
Super cool if you do it for a friend, a loved one,
So was that ever like I'm trying to remember if that was like a thing growing up in like Toys R Us where you could get like how there's like keychains with names on them. If they'd be like Andrew, Emily, whatever.
I feel like custom printing at that like micro level, is a little more modern, right? Like you might have been able to get Kevin, your Andrew, but like I don't know that you could go do like Tripp,
Yeah, that's what I mean. It would be like the keychains.
Okay, yeah. I don't recall seeing it. I am odds like it just has to have existed somewhere, right? It's one of those situations. Like I don't know it, but it must have. But yeah, he the one in the movie struck me as a custom job where it's, you went on Etsy and were like, get wrapping paper that says Andrew Leno or whatever.
Yeah.
We are watching the fifth sequel in the Silent
fourth
Night.
Sequel.
Yeah, sorry. The fifth entry, not fifth sequel, in the Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise. Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toymaker from 1991, 30-year anniversary, starring noted hotelier Mickey Rooney.
And movie theater enthusiast on Disney Channel.
That's right, Disney Channel movie theater enthusiast Mickey Rooney. So you know what that means.
We gotta go back. We gotta go dissect the 80s. It's your Mickey Rooney. Something's got to be about your Mickey Rooney.
When the mega powers explode.
I'm talking about the 80s. Oh, yeah.
Great Scott!
Cream of the crop. Oh, yeah.
Mega powers, yeah!
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
Have you seen any of the other Silent Night, Deadly Nights?
So I've seen the first one. We watched it together, I'm pretty sure.
I thought so. Okay.
And then this YouTuber that I enjoy, Dead Meat, who does like kill counts and stuff, did the whole series last year before, something like that. And they go off the rail. Like, obviously this is off the rails, but like, if you can believe it, number 4 is weirder than this one.
Well, I feel like we have to maybe resurrect February in some shape, way, or form, because like
it's possible. Number 4 involves a satanic cult and bugs.
Oh, okay. That sounds I'm with you. I'll take the journey. That sounds less fun than this.
Yes, but also like how I don't understand how they were like, for number 5 we're gonna reel it in a little bit.
Okay, because this is basically Small Soldiers but R-rated.
Yes, it's very much that. But the difference is Small Soldiers explained how everything worked.
Yes. This has.
I had a real Death Spa moment watching this movie where I was just like, okay, but like, what are the rules?
I totally agree. This is definitely in the death. I feel like there's like tiers of the movies we watch, right? You got your, big A-list blockbusters, you got your, big box comedies of the era. And then there's this like little corner we carve out from time to time. We don't go there that often, but every once in a while we go to the corner of weird direct-to-video stuff that's
or like Chopping Mall, which I don't think was direct-to-video.
No. Chopping Mall I would put in a similar category, but you're right. I think that did go to theaters, at least minorly.
Weird cocaine-fueled ideas.
Yeah. And it's like, we have, I don't know, $500,000 seems generous here, but like
I think maybe
ballpark,
a quarter. Let's say it's $250,000.
And it's like, okay, well, I want to put 80% of that budget into the effects department.
Yeah.
And it's like, the lighting will be bad. The audio will not be great. At one point, there's a boom mic in a shot.
I missed that.
It's a flash, like a real, you could literally blink and miss it. But yeah, that kind of thing. The production value is going to be very low, but we're going to cut a very large check to a person who can make special effects, and that's what we're going to sell this on. Like it will
For
just
sure.
the back of this VHS cover was just inset close-ups of I never saw it obviously, but I would bet real money that it would be like the Santa thing around the guy's face, the saw blade driller toy on the guy's
for
chest,
sure.
all those things. So yeah, it's like 100%. It's like, if you're going to make a bad movie, make it fun to watch is the philosophy I like.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this is. It's like, look, yeah, it's like 80 minutes long. It's technically 86, but there's some, if you cut the credits, you're like, right
It is a very loose 86 minutes.
yeah. And it's like, look, there's going to be like one 15 to 20 minute stretch without effect shots, but I promise you that's the only one. Like it's within 10 minutes, every 10 minutes there's something wild happening. I promise you.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just begin at the beginning. We get the title card, and I had a hearty guffaw, a single barking at the fact that it's Still Silent Films was the production company.
Yeah, I was like, all right, okay, people.
We should also say, since we're talking about Silent Night, Deadly Night, the first one is early to mid 70s. I don't remember the exact year.
It's that? I thought it was 80s.
I thought it was like a borderline 70s movie. I don't remember, so I'll take your word for it. I did not write that down. It's irrelevant to the anecdote I was trying to tell, so I didn't write it down. But Mickey Rooney was one of the people leading the charge against it when it came out. I guess You're right, it is an 80s movie because we've talked about it. We have kicked it around as a potential movie and then have decided not to. So you're right, it is an 80s movie.
Yeah.
But Mickey Rooney was one of the people really banging the drum of like, how could you give Santa Claus a weapon? This is unbelievable. How could you do this? And then some years go by and they're like, hey, Mickey, you want to check? And he's like, I sure do.
And like, here's the thing. A lot of people, when they do things for a paycheck, phone it in. Mickey Rooney, 100 years after he started acting, still can act pretty well and is like doing a performance.
I'm so glad you brought this up because the whole time I was like, every time we didn't have Mickey Rooney on screen, I was like, what's Mickey Rooney up to? Because he's the best part of this.
I'm sorry. I know I shit on children a lot on this show. I did not think the kid was a very good actor. His face isn't very engaging.
So my literal first note after Silent Night, Deadly Night, Still Silent Films was 10 out of 10 dumb face for this kid. Like he's doing a dumb face. He's not like, I don't know that his resting face is dumb. This feels like a put on, but it's a dumb look. And then as the movie goes on, I was like, oh, that's kind of smart. They made this kid like silent so that he doesn't have to do any acting. And then a little more time passed and I was like, no, this is worse. This is
worse. There's no talking. It's all his dumb faces.
This is way too much to ask of a child to be a complete silent performance. But yeah, so Mickey Rooney is 71 years old in this movie. And I had to say...
Been acting for 70 years at this point.
Yes, yeah. But for a 1991, 71... Okay, for a 1991, 71-year-old Mickey Rooney specifically, so I'm putting this in a very specific box.
It's like Wilford Brimley.
My man looks good.
He does.
This man is a hard living 71. You're talking about a man going through the Great Depression.
The studio system.
The studio system actually served in World War II. He lives through, a whole bunch of other military conflicts, a whole bunch of other, nonsense as an actor. He made 40 movies between ages 15 and 25.
Yeah. He worked his ass off and probably was pumped full of Quaaludes and amphetamines.
Oh, yeah. It's like he gets to set in the morning. They give him a shot of amphetamines. He gets off set at night. They put Quaaludes in the other arm to knock him out. He's like a horse.
Yeah, basically. And then in between, they were like, "All right, you and Judy go eat soup in a window for the paparazzi."
Yes. Also, my man, I believe it's 7 marriages and 9 children.
That's what happened.
7 marriages and 9 children. Mickey Rooney's children are a baseball team.
7 marriages for 7 Mickeys.
Yes, he could have the Rooneys and it's a full baseball team. He doesn't have to play. He doesn't have
He
to
can
get
coach.
involved. He's the coach. Yeah, exactly. And then whichever wife it was at the time, first base coach maybe.
There we go.
Yeah, seven Rooneys, or 9 Rooney children, 7 marriages, including Ava Gardner, I think was the first one, which I was like, oh,
Wow.
all right.
Good for you, Mickey.
Yeah, good. Exactly. Yes, punching above your weight class there.
Also, I just have to say this at the top. There is a YouTube video called Shit Liza Minnelli Says, and it's a Liza Minnelli impersonator doing a bunch of fun things. And the one thing she says is Mickey Rooney, because obviously Liza Minnelli would know, and Mickey Rooney are closely linked. And so every time I see his name or think his name, I think it in a Liza Minnelli voice that just,
sure.
Mickey Rooney.
That's all to say. I genuinely think he's very good here. He's giving it his all. He has a take. He clearly has a take here, which is not.
He's giving way more than he should. I'm sure the director was like, "Oh, well, we'll get Mickey in. He'll phone it in. He'll be a name for the box." And that was like, "Oh wow, he's actually doing something."
Keep pointing the camera at Mickey because he's the only one who knows what he's doing. This is not like these, Bruce Willis and Mel Gibson with their giant HGH heads, allegedly, pumping out 9 movies a year on the red. Bruce Willis's head looks like a fucking watermelon now. It's like, stop doing HGH, man. Just be old. It's fine.
It's not allowed.
But he pumps out 9 of these Redbox movies a year. They're obviously not made by Redbox, but that is their primary consumption. It's like
Redbox, frankly, should be in the production business at this point. Netflix is. Hulu
I think they
is.
do. I'm saying I think they do. I was just specifying that I think Redbox 100% makes movies. I'm just saying all 9 Bruce Willis direct to Redbox features are not produced by Redbox. But it's he and Mel Gibson are real kings of this, but there's a bunch of other actors that do it too. They're only on set for 3 days. They get to sit down a lot, and then they're really front and center on the box.
Yeah, and then they get $100 million.
I think it's more like $1 million, but still, the check's clear.
Either way, it is too much.
But anyway, yes, the child actor at the heart of this movie, not very good. Really a problem when he has to carry the movie.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I mean, I think that's kind of why he doesn't really carry the movie. He's prominently featured, but the movie is done in a way that he does not have to do a lot of heavy lifting.
Yes, exactly. We start with the classic Silent Night, Deadly Night opening, which is young boy at home.
We open on a couple that is framed in a way that in a shot, framed into the camera in a way to be like, oh, we're gonna follow this couple. No, we follow them down the street, and then we're like, and into this house, and I was like, well, hang on.
Oh yeah. I did.
I was like, I thought that couple was gonna be a thing.
Are they? They're not the babysitter and boyfriend couple from later, are they?
I don't think so. I think it's a brunette.
Because those two kind of inexplicably sprinkle their way throughout this movie.
And then get
very, very
the most drawn out death sequence.
Yes.
It was like the fucking assistant in Jurassic World.
I was just going to make the same thing. You're like, wow, there must have been a cut scene where this person was a real dick.
Yeah, we must have missed a scene where she slapped an ice cream out of a kid's hand and stepped on it with her stiletto.
Yeah. Allegedly, that's not true. People have asked that question of, I guess, Colin Trevorrow, who directed Jurassic World. So what's the deal with it? And he was just like, oh, we just thought it was funny. And it was just like, oh, that sucks.
Everyone slowly pushes their chair back from the table.
That's way worse than you being like, oh, it's like he's the lawyer and everybody hates him and he's kind of a dick to everybody. And it's like, yeah, he gets his. No, she just was a nice person we thought would be cool to murder.
Who was engaged to be married.
Yes, yeah. So anyway, the kid with his real dumb face on is in bed, and mom is going to town on somebody, which I thought, having seen the first one, I was like, oh, this is going to be Santa. I know the name of this game. And then the kid walks into the room thinking that someone's in distress, and it's just mom. And I guess
I think it's dad.
Dad. Yeah. He has a real stepdad Carl energy.
He definitely does, but in his room, because at first I was like, is it a boyfriend? But in the kid's room later, there's a shitty kid drawing with the word dad on it.
Yeah, and there's no later we
because all kids label everything in their drawings.
Yes. Well, it does help.
Well, yeah, but kids don't actually like, I feel like that's not a real, it's just a movie thing of like, this is
I feel
Dad,
like-
this is
I feel
Mom,
like-
and this is
I feel like-
Bagul, the demon who visits me at night.
Bagul.
He's from
I know.
the 16 millimeter one.
The Sinister, is it called?
I think so, with Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I was thinking one of the I was okay, this is a dumb anecdote, but I was recently going to buy lunch meat to make hoagies, and I was just like, oh yeah, I'll get stuff, and then I intentionally pronounced Capicola as Gabagool to be like funny, and
Yeah.
it was like, what did you just say? And I was like, yeah, Gabagool, and it was just like, what are you talking about? That's not a word. And I start like typing in Gabagool to like prove that this is like a bit that the world at large knows.
Yeah.
And I think it's Dietz and Watson hired Vincent Pastore from Sopranos to be the Gabagool for like a Halloween ad campaign.
That
and
sounds
he's like
like
he's in like vampire Dracula makeup, but going like, hey, I'm the Gabagool. Like that kind of vibe.
That sounds right for Dietz and Watson.
Yeah, and so that's, I don't know, I was just thinking about Vincent Pastore being the Gabagool when you said that. I completely derailed I just drove us right off a cliff into, now I don't remember what
Stepdad Carl energy.
Stepdad Carl, yes.
He's also, sorry to be that asshole, he's a butterface.
Oh, yeah.
Got a real nice beefy bod, and then his face is like, oh, did someone, this is like a Ken doll where you swapped heads situation?
He got hired because they were like, all right, we're going to have all 5 of you come in for casting. Could everyone take your shirts off? Okay, could you all turn around? Great. Would 2 and 4 stay, and everybody else, that's enough. Thanks very much.
Mm-hmm.
So they're having very loud, inappropriately loud sex for the child being...
For a child is home, yeah.
Yeah. And the kid... So this is the part of the movie that I really started just like, I have my own questions and thoughts going on. So the shot is the camera, us the viewer, the camera looks through the crack of the door, and the couple's just really going to town.
Going to Bone Town.
They're having a good time. And then we cut back and the camera sees the little boy looking in the door. And then we get a second angle of the boy in the door and then a push in on that second angle. So like really, really we're looking in. This boy is looking at something. What do you think they told him he was looking at? Because obviously this child was not on set. I have no fucking clue. Because he's got this like mouth agape, real like yokel moron look to him. Like he's clearly reacting in confusion and fear, and I was just trying to figure out,
which is apropos for Silent Night.
Yeah. But I was like, what did they tell him he's looking at? I was dying to know. It's like, because like you have to tell him something, right? Like the director has to prompt this response from the kid, and the way that he looks, it's almost they're like, all right, so you open the door, right, and inside a guy is just taking all the skin and fur off a dog.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe it was like a werewolf or an alien situation.
Okay.
Like you see an alien coming in through the window.
Yeah, it's a big reaction, but my favorite part is the fact that this shot is, it's like very clearly we were trying to hit 80 minutes before we slapped the credits on. It's a good minute of this little boy like just watching his mom get railed by stepdad Carl.
Yeah. This feels like a Charles Band movie for how much sex is in it.
Yes.
And also, for an R-rated movie, I'm shocked there weren't boobs. There were no boobs, right?
No, there weren't. I was really, really stunned. Maybe that was like a Mickey Rooney thing.
Oh, maybe.
He's like, I'm a beloved actor of stage.
I'll be in your
screen.
picture.
You can't have any breasts.
So he goes down to the front door and finds a package with his name on it and brings it inside. And this is where I noticed that only two, so it's clearly even though it's a small tree, it's clearly got multiple strings of lights on it.
Uh-huh.
And only 2 of them are blinking.
Yes, they clearly, like, someone on the set deck department misplaced the blinky bulbs.
Because the top, it's the whole top half of the tree is just solid, and then the bottom right and bottom left keep like blinking, and I was like, huh, okay.
Can I say, not a big fan of blinky lights on a home tree. Find it very distracting.
I agree. I mean, I think it's good if you're like if it's a party to kind of like provide some visual interest, whatever. But if it's just like your tree and you're like watching TV or whatever, don't make it blink.
Yeah, I would find that very distracting.
It also was always annoying because I think ours did that. Ours had that setting growing up because there were a few Christmases where like the camera would keep not focusing because the lights would keep turning on behind us. And so we would just be like flickering.
Yeah. In and out of focus. Just I do think that this gift does specifically say don't open till Christmas, but I have a lot of sympathy for this kid because it's a pretty traumatizing thing he just witnessed.
Yeah. And also like it was left on his porch, so who's going to know?
Yeah. So he rips this thing open. Stepdad Carl, who I kind of wrote that he was like Dollar Tree Tom Noonan, but I feel like the hair is wrong.
Tom Noonan,
the axe guy from Last Action Hero.
Oh, okay. Yep, I can see that.
So he yells at him, and they have like a big squabble here,
and he sends him to bed. And then for some reason, the dad is like, "I guess I'll open this present." And then he sees that it's moving, and he's like, "I'll definitely open this present." No, throw it outside.
I thought he was gonna wrap it back up.
Oh, first. Maybe because he like picks up a piece of paper and then kind of like tosses it. So I wasn't sure. Yeah,
but you're right. As soon as it starts moving, I'm like, well, I know that my wife did not purchase a moving or a live animal for our child, so I'm gonna throw this outside.
Yeah.
But instead, this little Santa pops out of the bag, and
it looks. I wonder if it's intentional. It looks a lot like Robot Santa from Futurama.
That was exactly what I wrote down. Yeah, it's 100% Robot Santa from Futurama, especially when the head spins around and he has like jagged teeth and like little blue flames coming out. And the arms go super stretchy, Stretch Armstrong wrap around the guy's head. I can't tell what it's doing to kill him necessarily.
So I think this is what annoyed me. It was an interesting first kill, but like, why wasn't the toy the thing that killed him?
Right.
It like wraps around his neck and his head. So I'm like, is it choking or is it just like crushing his head? But then he hits his head on the mantle and knocks over the like fireplace accoutrement.
Yeah.
In such a way that the fire poker is like perfectly up in the air for him to fall on it. And I was like, well, the toy didn't really do that. The toy helped, but the toy didn't murder him.
Especially because later the toys do some gnarly shit. Like I thought this was like having watched the rest of the movie, I would expect this thing to like crush its way into his head.
Yes. Squish it like a watermelon.
Yeah. But it is, the guy sells it like gangbusters. He's like, this toy is really beating him up. He hits his head on the on the mantle, which looks really good. It's like a great, physical bit there. And then I was like, oh, the fire poker through the head. The fire poker is definitely going to kill him. And he falls in such a way it looks like it's going to go through his head. And I was like, oh, that's pretty gnarly. But it cuts away. And I was like, I'm surprised we didn't see that. And then it's like, oh, don't you worry, pal. We're going to get a long, lingering shot of this man with a fire poker sticking through his cheek. And
we're going to show it.
Yeah.
And then the Santa toy like retracts and like rolls away.
Yes. And the kid's reaction is a scream of like, Mom, I have to pee.
Yeah, again, I was like, you're not terrified? Like,
right. But I think it's that, like, there's no way they showed this child what this looked like. So this whole movie is this little boy being told to react to stuff. And who knows what they told him?
Just say your dad fell over and hit his head.
Yeah, I guess that would
like, you don't have to say anything like big, but like, oh, your dad fell over. Your dad tripped. And then we get 4 minutes of opening credits that
it's so long
that aren't. It's like weird close-ups of like toy parts, and I was like, no.
Yeah, you do not have permission to do this. We should say this movie is available to stream on Tubi for free with ads as of the release of this. And
I think a lot of the Silent Nights are.
Yeah, I think you're right, and it's also on Shudder without the ads if you would rather go that route.
Well, also, it would depend on which Shudder you have, because it's different things on different ones, apparently.
Oh, that's right. They do that weird thing where it's like, if you have it through this subscription or that subscription, I forgot about that. I will also say, we're going to spoil some stuff that I did not know watching this movie and did not occur to me while watching this movie. So
really?
I'm just going to put it out. Yeah. I'm going to put it out there now. I recommend this. I think you should watch it, and it's probably a better experience if you watch it unspoiled. So if you want my 2 cents, if typically you and I agree on the show, not that you and I don't generally agree, but if you typically enjoy the things that I like, I can tell you right now you should watch this movie before you listen to this, because it is real buck wild, and I had no idea where it was going, and then it delighted me even more. So all that's going to be ruined for you if you listen.
Really? I'll tell you. I wrote a note where I called it.
Okay. Yeah, I truly did not get it until it was revealed, and I went like, oh, right.
At the very, very end with the...
Yes.
With the,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The very end is when it was, I got it. And then I was like, oh, I should have gotten this much earlier, because I'll explain as we go. You'll see. It will be amusing, because you can follow my thoughts in more or less real time as we go. The kids watching the Rambo cartoon, which
I thought it was
quite entertaining.
For some reason I thought it was a G.I. Joe.
It's the Rambo cartoon is like G.I. Joe, except for there's like a Sylvester Stallone character in it who's, obviously a good shooter of guns.
Yes. It feels very like, let's just do something like The Shining did.
Yes. So he's a complete mute. Is this like a couple days later or the following Christmas?
I think it's the same year.
Okay,
I think
too.
this like recently happened.
I thought so too, and so if that is the case, the fact that this child has gone mute and everyone seems real shitty about it is wild to me.
A Chiron would have been really helpful.
Yeah, because it's like, well, I thought it was really close to Christmas when this started, and then we're going to.
I thought it was like Christmas Eve.
Right, or the 23rd.
But I think it was early in December. Just it wasn't clearly explained.
But it's like, she's snapping at him and she's like, why don't you talk? And it's like, lady, this kid is processing a serious trauma. The guy died in front of him.
In one night.
Yeah. First he saw you having sex, and then his dad got murdered in front of his face.
And it's also weird because she like puts down his food and she's like, it's all separate so it's not touching. I know you hate that. And it's like 2 fried eggs on his plate and like bread, like toast and stuff. And he just squeezes the eggs. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. And I will say,
good-looking eggs.
Sub podcast, really good-looking fried eggs. Kudos to whoever made them on set. Really nice looking.
It's such a slippery slope, fried eggs, because the yolks go solid so quick if you don't watch them.
Well, I mean, I prefer a runny yolk, but I'll eat it.
I do too.
Fully cooked.
Like every time I try and make a runny yolk, I'm like, I feel like half of the time it ends up like too solid, and I'm like, damn it.
Yeah, just practice. Eggs are cheap.
Yeah.
Just make like 30 eggs one day.
And just eat 30 eggs?
Yeah, I mean, or throw them away. I don't know. Eggs are inexpensive. Find somebody with a dog. I think dogs can eat an egg.
For the most part.
But the mom has this real like, ugh, why don't you just get over it energy, which is why are you not traumatized?
Yeah, you should be a little more freaked out about this, ma'am.
Right.
So her friend or the neighbor, I guess, comes over.
I think both are true.
Yeah. And she's like, I think I'll take him to the to Pedo's toy store. And I was like, that word is really too close to a different word that should not be used for children.
Yes, you cannot have a toy store called Pedo's. I do not care if your name is Joe Petto with T's. You are not allowed to call your store Pedo's. It's a stupid idea. But my favorite part of this dialogue is the mom's like, yeah, he just hasn't been the same since the accident. Accident? What do you think happened to you think he accidentally fell on the fire poker and it went through his skull?
It went through his chest, I thought.
I thought I swear my memory is of it being through his face.
I don't remember, but Either way, I mean, like the idea of it being an accident still kind of holds some water. Like it fell over and then he fell on it. It's a suspicious accident, but it's an accident.
I was like, I think if a small child and a grown man if a scene was discovered of a grown man who fell onto a fire poker and you saw a little child there, you'd be like, do we have a Damien? We might have a Damien.
Or
the bad seed name I couldn't remember.
Rhoda. But yeah. I was thinking, what was the Brightburn? Or you got a Brightburn.
Yeah, you gotta have a Brightburn. I think that's a little harder reference to land. I don't know how many people have seen the 2000s-ish James Gunn film Brightburn.
What if Superman was evil? So our boy Mickey, he is pedo. I wish they had said his full name earlier, because as soon as they said his name was Joe Pedo, I was like, oh, okay, this analogy is clearer.
So we've already warned people to sign off, so I'm just gonna say. So I even wrote down, I was like, okay, I get what we're doing, like Geppetto, Toymaker, yeah, that's cute. And then later we see a thing where the son exposes a brick and it says Pino on it, and they keep
his name is Pino.
Yeah, they keep calling him Pino, but in my head it was Pino with a T, like Pinot Noir.
Pinot Noir.
Well, I think I've seen that name for people as well. Like, I think I've seen the name Pinot for a person as having the T, and it just didn't like gel in my mind that like, oh, very obviously we're doing Pinocchio here. Like,
I didn't get it at that point. It was where did I write it down? Oh, later when handsome stalker finds a photo from 1970 where the son looks the same. I was like, oh, son is a toy. Got it.
I didn't put the year together on the photo. So I like at the point where the son reveals that he's a puppet, I was like, oh, it's Pinocchio. Whoops. Like,
at like 10 minutes left in the movie.
Yes, it was literally at the point in which the movie is like, hey, do you get it, idiots? I was like, oh, I do. I get it now.
So the mom and the son walk into the toy store, and someone jumps out in like a Tom Savini monster mask.
Yeah.
And they get scared, obviously, and then Mickey Rooney comes out and like scolds him, and then the guy in the mask goes, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I would never." And I was like, "No, you did. Like,
yeah, 100%.
By definition, everything you did was meaning to scare them.
You did a scare. That is the thing that you did.
Jump it like for oldest trick in the book. Jump out and say rawr.
Right.
It's a very Evil Dead moment for me. There's clearly not really a basement in this office in the back room.
No.
But they must have like dug a little bit of a hole and put a door on it. But there is clearly not an actual basement.
Yeah, because every time they go to film it, they're very careful to like not show you up or down. Like there's no way to see down the stairs when you enter them.
And when Pino goes down there this time in the office, he clearly is like doing that like walking downstairs behind the couch bit.
Yeah. Very, very good stuff. You did mention the handsome stalker, but he was outside their house, so just putting the pin.
And I called him handsome stalker throughout the movie because they never bothered to name him until there's 20 minutes left in this movie.
Yeah. So the silent kid and his mom, they're getting scared. Pino runs away, and he comes back with Larry the Larva, which is this like bizarre looking worm toy that I bet would have been really popular in 1991.
So I think my qualm with this is more of a like design perspective. That the box art for Larry the Larva is very like cutesy and bubbly and fun. Like it looks like it should be like a glowworm type thing in the box. But then the actual toy that's in the box is this like gritty, like dark colors, and like there's probably metallic chrome on this thing.
I thought that was exactly the point. Like I thought it was supposed to look as if it was a glowworm, but secretly it's this nasty toy. Like,
but the toy
collars.
The toy looked nasty.
Yeah, I thought
you can
that
see
was
it through the plastic window.
Right, but I thought that was the bit.
I don't know. I was like, this doesn't seem very like this because obviously we're dealing with a Toymaker. It's in the name. Yeah. If you want this toy to like make it there, like if I saw this, I'd be like, no, like this is clearly not the toy that goes in this box. Throw it in the furnace.
See, I was like, oh man, this would be delightful to me now, as if it was like it looks like a Barbie box, but inside this is like horrible nightmare creature.
Okay.
But I get what you're saying. I don't disagree with you. I just saying this particular bit worked for me. So they leave after the Larry the Larva. Mickey immediately goes full heel. He's screaming at the kid. He's yelling at him. He's
giving a great performance.
It's a really good performance. He looks genuinely furious.
Louis B. Mayer will be proud.
Yeah. But that leads to us finding out, and them finding out that the creepy, or the rather handsome stalker. I wrote creepy stalker, but he is the handsome.
I wrote handsome. He's handsome.
No, it's fair. It's accurate. I'm switching to yours as best as I can remember. He's shopping for toys, and he ends up buying Larry the Larva amongst other things before he leaves the shop.
And Mickey mentioned, like, this is a weirdly good bit. I mean, Brian Usna wrote the script, so it's a decent script.
Yeah.
As he's like ringing him up, the guy's clearly like, "Hey, can we speed this up?" And Mickey Rooney's like, "Oh, you bought a lot of toys over the last week. Are you playing Santa?" Like, dropping hints, like, "Oh,
Yes.
hey, here's some story building."
Yeah. Honestly, I was, credit to the writer if it's deserved. The did you serve? Oh, I served in World War II felt like ad lib to me because obviously Mickey really did serve in World War II. Also, here's where I wrote down. It's actually 8 marriages that produce 9 children. Not 7. 8 marriages, and it was 43 movies between the ages of 15 and 25. Not 40.
I love that Eminem song, 8 Marriage.
Yes.
That is so many marriages, Mickey.
Yeah. Yeah, my man, and they were like all very short. Like my man burns hot, and everybody gets tired of each other very quickly.
He comes in hot and he leaves hotter.
Yeah, it's like it's all fire.
So we go back to the handsome stalker's like motel room where he's got like just toys strewn all over the bed.
And he dropped in the toy store a news clipping about the murder of the dad.
Yeah, well, the accidental death of the dad.
Yeah, but Mickey looks at it and it's like, oh, what's going on here?
So the landlord is, or I guess, what do you call it?
Motel owner.
The motel owner, yeah, is trying to kick him out because despite how easy credit card fraud looked in 1980 something, he's like, you have no, this credit card isn't good anymore. I was like, hang on.
It's funny. I was just I went to New York for the day trip last weekend, and the night before we threw on Home Alone 2, the New York one, and there's this like they have the old school like credit card machine.
The carbon paper, right?
Yeah. But there's also this digital thing Tim Curry has at one point that he's like, let me type in the credit card number. Type. And it comes up as says like stolen card. And I was like, is this thing real or for the movie? Like, I really need someone to just point me to like, okay, was it really easy to do credit card fraud until the mid or late 90s? Because it feels like it would have been.
I think it was. Because there's no immediate check. Like what the paper chuk thing is like, it goes in a book and then later they figure it out. Like you could be halfway to Texas by then.
Right, exactly. So I don't know, but it seems like very easy to commit the fraud. But yeah, so he's going back and forth with the motel owner. Oh, you got no money. You're a deadbeat. And he's like, I get paid tomorrow. He's like, well, then you get kicked out today, which I thought was quite funny. And he's like, I'll tell you what, you got a kid? And the guy's like, yeah. He's like, well, let me give you a toy for the kid. And he can see inside this room, which is just filled with toys. How about 30? Yeah. How about 30 toys? Like, how about I'm done Christmas shopping after I take it from you?
But also, it's movie world where like, all kids just want toys with no specificity.
Yes, yeah. My kid doesn't want, the Johnny Karate action figure. I want a toy. Thanks very much.
I was like, when I was a kid, I could recite the entire infomercial for the toy that I wanted down to the phone number because I wanted it so bad.
Right. Accessories sold separately.
Yeah. Those round, for me, it was those round, like not Lego bricks, but Lego bricks. So you could like make flexible sculpture, like flexible toys.
I do remember those. Yeah, I do remember those. Those were a brief interest. Very, very brief.
No, we had those forever.
Am I thinking of a different thing? I feel like the thing I thought of you played with for like a minute.
No, we had those because we brought them down the beach at one point, and like they became a beach toy, but it was like basically a 2x Lego brick, but it was the size of like your thumb. And it was rounded, so you could build things that like a snail shell that curled up on itself.
Yeah. Okay, I do. I actually remember the commercial now that you start talking.
Yeah, they made a snail and they made like a mask and stuff.
Yeah. I do remember that. They're like a flexible building block.
Mm-hmm.
What I really enjoy about this part though is so the guy is like very clearly taking the toys apart, and I think the movie wants us to think he's the murderer.
It's funny. I think that yes, but also my brain, I was like, this is a good guy. Like, this is clearly, he's too handsome. He's clearly a good guy.
Yeah. It's like, obviously, like I knew very little about this movie other than that Mickey Rooney was the bad guy or a bad guy in it. So I like knew this was a red herring, but the movie clearly is like, okay, he's like doing something with a screwdriver to this car. We later find out he's actually doing investigation work and he's trying to figure out, like, are these toys, murder weapons? And then he proceeds to give the motel owner a toy he hasn't investigated and verified that it's safe.
And also the only one that looks suspicious.
Yes, exactly. It's like, I have this race car or a doll. No, I'm going to give him Larry Larva. You know, that popular children's toy, Larry Larva.
Gross. But the guy loves it. So he drives away with it.
He's so impressed. Yeah. Oh, that's the other part I like. The motel owner is like, all right, I got the toy. I'm leaving the motel. It doesn't seem like there's any humans at this motel at all. There's no other cars in the parking lot. There's no lights on.
So like, wait, what happens if anyone needs anything?
Right. Assumedly, there's just the handsome stalker in this hotel, but you know, he could just bounce. He doesn't. He still hasn't paid you.
But he has been there for 2 weeks at this point, so
I guess that's true. He's basically a co-owner.
Yeah, it's a long con at that point. But so he's driving home. He puts the toy in the back seat, and Larry the larva like falls over and like crawls out of his box and goes under the seat, which again, not a thing in modern cars.
Right.
You cannot get from that is not a place you can go.
You drop a phone down there, you're going to need 65 back scratchers to get the thing out.
Yes. You need some fishing line and chewing gum and a prayer.
Yeah.
But it like wiggles his way to his feet, and he picks it up, and he's like, "Oh, well, damn, this is great." And I was like,
"Yeah,
you're 45?
Yes,
like you're an adult. This is not a, and it's literally just like a wired remote control larva is what it looks like." And I was like,
"Right,
I know it's 91, but like we had cooler toys then."
Right, like RC cars existed. You could drive a car with a unconnected remote control. For sure.
Yeah.
And it's not like it. I will say, like, the bug does kind of do the furtin motion of a caterpillar.
It's great. It's a well done
cool
thing.
Looking. Yeah. The effects in this movie are by Screaming Mad George, who did a lot.
He's done a lot.
But in particular, he did, I think, Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4, or 4 and 5. Like, two of the middle ones that people like a lot for the effects.
He did the one that has the soul chest in it. Like the big wall of souls.
Oh, okay. I thought he also did 4 because that's the one we did where like the heads are on the pizza and stuff.
Yeah, I think that is that one.
Okay,
where all her friends die and
they're
she
all
like absorbs their
inside
powers.
Freddy. Yeah, but they're all inside Freddy.
Yeah, he like opens his chest, and they literally built this like 8-foot thing that like actors had to like get inside and like squish their face in.
Yeah. It's real weird looking, but it's cool. But anyway, it's the same effects person, which is like I said before, like if you're only gonna spend $100,000 on the movie, you should give $70,000 of it to Screaming Mad George in 1991 because like you're gonna get cool stuff.
Maybe 5,000 to Mickey Rooney and 500 stipends for everybody else.
Exactly. Yeah. Mickey might have gotten 5 digits. He might have gotten $10,000.
You think?
I mean, it's possible. It's not very much money.
I know, but like for this movie's budget, it probably is.
Yeah. But I mean, he's going to be number 1 on the box. You know, I'm shocked he's not on the cover. The cover is this little boy surrounded by toys, and it's very, very not good looking compared to what this movie actually is.
Yeah, Mickey should have been on that box. Well, they probably didn't want it because it should have been like Mickey Rooney, like either like leaning out of a chimney or like squatting in the fireplace. But they probably wanted to distance themselves from the story of the first 3.
Right. Yeah, I think it should, like, Mickey Rooney, like, tinkering over some toys would be totally...
Or that, like, I think it's, like, a very, like, Norman Rockwell, like, Santa painting of, like, he's sitting in the chair holding, like, a toy with, like, a screwdriver or something.
Right. Yeah, exactly what I had in mind, yes. I didn't add the Norman Rockwell part, but yes, I'm totally on board with your version. So he like, tosses Larry Larva in the backseat.
No, first he tries to play with it while he's driving, and I was like, dude, you're driving.
Eyes on the road, man.
So he throws it in the back seat, and that's when Larry
becomes the Tingler.
Very much the Tingler.
For the Vincent Price movie, William Castle picture. He's like crawling up the back seat. He gets electrified. He wraps himself a head. This is the wildest kill in the movie, I think. Like the other one is more drawn out, but this kill is wild. It like wraps himself around his head.
No, and then it goes in his mouth. And eats its way out.
It comes around the back of his neck first, right? Like I thought it like came around, like slithered around him, and then went in his. Because I thought
no, so it's like over his right shoulder. It's like on the seat, and he turns around and screams, and then it jumps into his mouth.
Got it. I remembered it coming like around, like kind of slithering around his neck and then going in his mouth. But it sucks his head inside out, like from the inside, just like
it pulls it, like it eats his eyeballs out, and then it pops out of one of the eye holes with the eyeballs in.
really gnarly, really gnarly. I mean,
But
it
also
looks
like
awesome.
campy and stupid. It was very like sleepaway campy.
Yeah.
And then the car flips over and explodes.
It's an awesome car explosion. Real car broken and destroyed here. This is probably another $5,000 of the budget, blowing up this car, but it looks awesome.
I mean, maybe it was a couple hundred at like a junkyard.
Yeah, I meant, to safely blow up a car and all that does cost money, but maybe they just threw a bunch of M80s in there.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. With 1991, things are starting to get safer, but so the handsome stalker breaks into the toy store after hours, and he sees the photo that says it's a photo of clearly young Mickey Rooney, like a still from a movie he did in the 60s or the 70s, I guess. And then superimposed with the actor playing Pino, and it says like September 1970. I was like, oh, Pino is a toy. Got it.
Yeah, I did not clock the date here. So
gotcha.
I just totally missed that detail. So it was just like whoosh at the end of the movie. I was like, what?
And I think that's really all this scene, because Mickey comes downstairs and drinks to establish like he drinks a lot. And I'm like, okay, there are a lot of other things going on.
He's slamming Jack Daniels straight, no ice.
His middle name is Jack Daniels.
Yes.
So this is where the handsome stranger nearly gets pulled into the handsome stalker nearly gets pulled into the fake basement, and there's clearly it's clearly just waist deep. Like he's just like pretending.
Yeah, he clearly is like almost sitting down and just like he's just like sliding himself back and forth in the hole that they dug. It's delightful. But it's, clearly the weirdo son, Pino, is like yanking on his legs or whatever, trying to pull him downstairs.
And so he runs away. And the mom we cut to the mom and the kid, and the mom is like calling for him, and he's listening to his like speak and spell giant like cassette player.
I think it's like the Little Tykes cassette player.
Oh, it's not a speak and spell. It's the one with the microphone from Toy Story.
Yeah, the first podcasting device.
Yes.
Was literally my first podcasting device.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I don't know that I ever did that.
Not probably. I definitely made I used that thing all the time, and I would talk into it and listen back to myself 100%.
I don't think I did. I did a lot with the big video camera on the VHS tapes.
Yeah. No, I definitely did that as a kid with that thing.
But he's got those like wimpy ass 90s kids headphones that looked like play stethoscope ears.
I always think that they look like the band on them looks like just somebody took a coat hanger and banged on it on an anvil until the metal was flat.
Yes, very much that. And she's like, "You didn't hear me?" And I was like, "Those headphones are not noise canceling in any regard."
No, it's even with noise canceling headphones, you can kind of sense when there's a person behind you. But we've had an entire cottage industry of janitors or other people listening to music on their headphones and being oblivious to things happening. So it's just an accepted trope at this point.
Yeah. So they go to the mall to meet Santa, and it's a brief moment, but it doesn't make any sense. The like elf helper puts up the sign that
I think you're gonna say what I wrote down too.
We have very similar thoughts about this movie. She like the establishing shot of the mall is an empty Santa chair with an easel, and she walks up and puts up the sign that says 15 minutes, we'll be right back. And as she's doing that, she waves the next people up and goes, "Come on, he'll be right back." And I was like, no, you don't wave them up.
You don't build the line with nothing to stand for. Let them mill about the mall. What?
So dumb.
Also, right before they go to the mall, there's a giant gift on the porch that the mom brings in. And
she thinks it's the
later.
neighbor.
It must be from the neighbor. Yeah. Yeah, I also thought that was hysterical. The really enthusiastic, like clearly this actress is thrilled to have this day part. Like she's like, I got one line and I'm gonna give it everything I got. And it's like, Come on, he'll be right back. And it's like, well, wait a minute, what? That makes no sense.
Leave them there.
This is also
Clint Howard.
Sorry, yeah, that's right. For a hot second,
I think about it more and more, and I don't understand how Clint Howard and Ron Howard are on such different tracks.
Yeah, well, I mean, not to be a very mean person, but I don't think Ron Howard is a looker per se, but Clint is a character actor in the face more so than Ron.
It's just so interesting that like Ron Howard is basically become this like film titan, and his brother Clint is like, I'm the ice cream man.
I mean, I think it's the hair and the balding for one, and for two, he's kind of like a crazy right winger. So maybe people just don't like being around him. Like I don't know.
Wait, Clint is a right winger?
Views land. Oh yeah, but I don't want to besmirch, but like he might even be like a QAnon typer. So
gross, like cousin Eddie, the other.
Yeah, it's a Quaid adjacent situation.
Quaid, thank you.
Yeah.
That's a bummer. I'm gonna have to Google that. I hope it's not. I hope it doesn't go that far because that's very disappointing.
Yeah. I actually was just listening to this. Apparently, Ron and Clint wrote a book together about their parents.
Is that all that family can fucking do? Is make movies about family and write books about family?
I was literally about to say that. Yeah, that family is an Ouroboros of just like eating its own shit. But it was I heard Rob Lowe on a different podcast, and then he was plugging his own, and I was like, well, let me hear what Rob Lowe's podcast is like. Spoiler alert, not very interesting to my own personal tastes, although, I'm sure it varies guest to guest. But he had on Ron and Clint, and I was like, this is going to be very weird to listen to. Like, I have to hear what this interaction is like. And of course, it's like, the interview of the two of them is like Ron Howard and Rob Lowe, and very, very occasionally Clint says a thing.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Well, I saw that they did the Drew Barrymore, it was probably to promote their book. They did the Drew Barrymore show, and I didn't click it. I was
sure. Yeah.
I was like, I don't need to watch this. I'm good.
Yeah. I mean, there was no like great, interesting information left. The only thing that I heard that I found really interesting was Clint auditioned for Star Wars. And when he walked into his audition, George Lucas was like, oh, wow, you're the guy from Star Trek. And he like name dropped the specific episode of Star Trek Clint was on when he was like 6 or 7 years old. He like quoted the episode to him. And Clint was like, it really threw me off my game because I was like trying to go out for this adult part. And then I spent the rest of the interview going, what the hell role was Clint Howard auditioning for in Star Wars? Because I do not see the spot for you, bud.
Was it the first one?
Yeah.
Maybe it was just like a cantina person?
That's the only thing I could think of is like Clint Howard was going to play Pig Nose.
Yeah, I think it would have to be just a cantina person. That's the only thing that makes sense. Or unless he was going to be one of the evil Imperial people in the board meeting.
That I guess he could do that with the right hair and makeup. That would work. He could play that guy. But yeah, I was just like, I'm like running down the call sheet in my mind. I'm like, okay, I guess he could be Chewbacca. Like Chewbacca's just like shorter. Oh, also, I thought it was cool that this mall had a black Santa. I was like, that doesn't seem all that prevalent in 91 that there would be, both black and white Santas, which is great.
Pretty rad. It's also funny because like there's the trope that like mall Santas are like men with a pillow under their thing and like a shitty plastic beard.
Yeah.
I have literally never seen that. I've been to a lot of malls around Christmas times. I have never once seen that.
No, that's something that you do if it's like, oh shit, we have to do something last minute here.
Or like an office Christmas party.
Right. No, most mall Santas are guys with real beards and, they dye their hair. They already have gray hair. There's a lot of people very dedicated to playing Santa Claus.
Yeah. It's like it's just always funny to me that it's always played as like, it's just drunks in a plastic beard. I'm like, well, no, like it's like you have to do a lot of training. I'm friends with a guy who does Santa a lot. He's got a big, so like I had met him in like June and he was like, yeah, I have to start like growing everything out for Christmas time. So he's like, I keep it short from like January to June and then I have to start letting it grow so it can be like smoothed and trimmed by the time it's Christmas time.
It's kind of wild to me that Santa has long hair. Like that. This is something I've just been thinking about this year because pretty much every culture depiction of Santa, he has long hair. And it's kind of like, it's kind of weird to me because typically, fashion slides in and out of weird cycles, but typically longer haired guys are not necessarily people you want to hang around with. And so the fact that
I think it's because it's hidden by the hat.
Yeah, probably.
I think the hat and the fur collar kind of obscures it.
Yeah. Yeah, I found that I was thinking about that. It was just like, wow, that's really wild.
And his beard. He was also growing his beard out.
Right. Well, the big bushy beard reads friendly. The long hair is like hippie type, I don't know. It's just interesting to me. So we break in the house.
Pino lifts up a brick that says at their house that says Pino. So I was like, huh?
It's funny. I didn't connect the very obvious dots that it's Geppetto and Pinocchio, but I was like, oh, I bet they lived here before.
Well, obviously, his name was on a brick.
Right. I just was like, oh, that makes sense. So we're like cutting back and forth between Pinot breaking in and then the mall. The mall has like a lot of B-roll, which is like, I know that we're trying to get to 80 minutes, but if this movie was 72, it would be great.
Yeah.
Did you notice though? And this predates the movie, but the season's greetings on the wall is in the Jurassic Park font.
I didn't notice that. Like the Welcome to Jurassic, like the
sort of, I think it's like the secondary font, not the gate font, but it's like the letters are sort of wiggly and there's like a line in the middle of all of them. If you Google Jurassic Park font, it's the first one that comes up. I'm not sure.
Is it would you say it's the font? It's not the font from the poster?
I think it's the font of the sign that's like 100 million years of history.
Okay.
That wiggles down.
When dinosaurs roamed the earth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Handsome Stalker is one of the Santas at the mall. And he's not even doing a Santa voice.
No. Yeah, that's very strange.
Give me something.
And also, so there's like three parts of this movie that are like completely insane logically. The first one being the part where he gives away the Larry larva, even though he hasn't checked it. And then this one, later we find out the relationship between this woman and this man. And I feel like she should know who this is, even with the Santa outfit on.
I don't know. I think Santa outfits are like, he's got makeup on his face and he's got a hat on and a beard on. So it's sort of like, I mean, it's 20, like there's been people that I've seen with masks on, like in these times, and I'm like, and they're like, hey, and I'm like, oh, I know you. I'm so sorry.
Are any of them people whose children you've had though?
Okay, no, but it also hasn't been 6 years.
That's true. That's true. This is the part where the boom mic, by the way, like when they call the mom and the kid up, there's like a real close up on her face, and there's like for the flash of a second, a boom mic hits the top of the frame.
Oh, okay. The little girl before Derek, the boy, says she wants a videotape of Bride of Reanimator, which is a nice used in a touch because he directed.
Oh, really?
Movie. Yeah,
I did not catch that. Oh, that's
it's
cool.
Like it gets like faded out as she takes a photo because all of her stuff is like quiet, and then at the end she's like, a tape of Bride of Reanimator.
Oh, that's funny. I like that.
And this dude is also making the creepiest eyes at the little boy.
Yeah, really, really, really unsettling.
And then he refuses to let the kid go.
He's literally grabbing the arm and screaming, "Don't go!" And I was just like, this man's going to be arrested post haste."
Yeah.
So we're doing this like reverse Ferris Bueller, where it's like instead of Ferris trying to beat his mom home in the car, mom and his sister, it's Pino is like tromping around their house as they're coming home. And it's like, oh, are they gonna catch Pino? But Pino's making no effort to leave, so it's like, yeah, I think we're gonna catch Pino.
Yeah. And then he like Sanderson sisters his way out of the closet in front of the mom and the son and just runs away like a namby-pamby.
Yeah.
And so mom goes to the toy store and she's like, what the hell was Pino doing in my house? And Mickey Rooney's like, he wasn't there. And I was like, hey, you cannot lie about this one.
Yeah, she's like, I watched, it wasn't like, I think Pino was in my house. I saw him in my house.
He left my closet and ran out the front door.
This scene is the one where I was like, oh man, Mickey is like so committed to this movie. Like
he's doing good work.
Yeah, he really is.
This is where he reveals that he and his wife and his son used to live in that house. But
yes.
like, also, if Pino is his son and he says, we lived there a long time ago, how?
Right.
Pino's what, 20?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Well, if this lady bought the house like right around when the kid was born, like he could have been a teenager there.
Yeah, I guess. It just seems like, as soon as you say it's a long time ago, I'm like, how long? Because your son's only 20, allegedly.
Yeah. I
if
mean,
he's not a robot.
Yeah, I mean, the answer is that you're correct and it was, 25 years ago or something like that.
Yeah. So she's like, he ever comes into my house again, I'm calling the police. So do with that what you will, Mickey Rooney.
Right.
And she gets home and she picks up the present she thinks is from the neighbor and she gives it to her son. And she's like, you can open one present before Christmas. And he's clearly like, I don't want to do that. No.
Yeah. It's like, of course he doesn't want to do that. He watched a present murder his dad, you loon.
Well, she doesn't know that.
But there was an open present on the floor that she did not purchase. So like when she walks into this scenario and the police are doing their investigation, it's like, okay, ma'am, Your husband has a fire poker through either his chest or head. The podcasters can't remember. There was an open box on the floor. Do you recognize this box? What was in it? No, I don't recognize that box. Well, could your husband have bought it and given it to the boy? I'm not sure. Okay, we know the kid's not talking, but we could have him go, did your dad give you this box? Shakes his head no or nods his head yes, right? Like, that's a thing he could do. And so it's like, this should be
but that goes
murder.
into all movies of like, they don't show the investigation part. Like, there's no explanation of what happens when the cops show up.
I'm just saying, this woman should know that this husband of hers is not the type of guy. A stepdad Carl energy dad does not buy a secret gift for the boy, is all I'm saying. And then yell at him a bunch.
I don't know. She wasn't there for the yelling.
She could have heard. You could hear that man yelling from 2 doors down. He was screaming.
Yeah, but in movie world, that doesn't mean anything.
I guess.
So he runs it outside and throws it in, places it on top of it's a big box. It's almost the size of like a Good Guy doll box. But he puts it on top, and I'm like, you got to take your name off that. You got to take the label off with your name on it, because someone's just going to be like, oh, they accidentally put this out here. I'll put it inside again.
Yeah. I love the part which, like, she steps away and he, like, tries to open the window and shove the gift out the window. It's really funny looking.
But also, I'm like, how weak are you that you can't open a window? Like,
I think.
Are you the little boy from Secret Garden? Like, are you Beth from Little Women? Like, what happened to you?
Do you have consumption? I thought it hit the screen.
Oh, okay. That
he was like,
makes more sense.
It's like window open, oh shit, screen. Gotta
but he tries to lift the window and can't. That is a thing that happens.
Yeah, no, definitely. This boy is not a very good actor.
And like I was a weak child. I had little noodle arms, and I could still open windows. You know what I mean?
They're not designed to be particularly challenging to open.
That's kind of the idea of a window.
Just ask Eric Clapton.
So the shitty like neighbor kid, like it's such a weird, funny shot because we see it's like the shot of the rollerblades in the trash can, and then the camera like swivels, and we see the like neighbor boy hanging off what looks like a palm tree.
Yes.
And he's like, ooh, and he like runs over and takes them, and they're rollerblades, and I was like, well, are we calling rollerblades a toy?
Right.
And B, how is this one gonna kill him? I was like, we're gonna have rocket-powered roller skates somehow?
Yeah, it was like, that's gotta be what it is. He's a neon porch pirate, though, so he deserves it. He stole his package.
No, but he's not a porch pirate. It was trash.
I thought the kid just sticks it outside the front door.
No, he puts it on the trash can.
Okay, but it's unopened.
Yeah, but he still watched someone put it in the trash.
Yeah.
If you throw it away, it's fair game.
No, that's fair. So he's like putting the rollerblades on. Meanwhile, Mickey and Pino are having like an actual fight, like a fight.
Upstairs, right?
Yeah.
We see it through the window.
I thought was this not the part where he breaks the bottle on him?
Let me check my notes.
No, it is. Yeah. So he honestly, like, he fights the same way that Danny DeVito does in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like real rapscallion business.
Oh yeah, I mean that Mickey Rooney. Honestly, Mickey Rooney and Danny DeVito don't feel like too far apart.
Right. I mean, beyond the fact that they are similar physically, they're very short men. It's like just
which I never thought about that. Like Mickey Rooney and Danny have sort of a similar like physicality and like
yeah. But he smashes a bottle over Pino's head and then he knocks him down the stairs. And at this point, I like should have put together that he was not a human by the way his body is all like folded up at the bottom of the stairs. But I just was like, oh, clearly he's dead. Because his body's all like folded over.
And I love this manic, unhinged Mickey energy. It's very like Nick Cage. Like, in like the good Nick Cage performances that we all love.
Yeah. And I guess I screwed it up. I guess the kid does get killed or at least launched into the car on the rollerblades before the fight.
I think it's intercut because I have manic, unhinged Mickey energy is great energy. But this like he's like a little shit heel who's like being mean to his neighbors or whatever.
That's right. Yeah.
And also like zipping around on his rocket skates. Well, no, they're not skates. They're blades.
They're rollerblades. Yeah. But here's the problem. So it's like this woman who later is the babysitter and her boyfriend who like according to the movie, should probably be like 17 or 18-year-old, like the characters.
I could not figure out how old they were supposed to be.
These actors are like mid-30s, and so the way that this looks is if she brought her boyfriend home to meet the parents, as an adult person, and then they were like, well, let's just take a walk around the subdivision so we can make out a bunch.
It's weird. I think they are supposed to be teenagers.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they definitely are mid-30s, like worse than, any 90210 casting or anything like that.
Yeah. So yeah, the rockets activate.
Young-looking 22. These are like an old-looking 29.
Yeah, this is Andrea from 90210. So his rockets activate, and he starts like flying him all around the neighborhood, and it's basically just like, do you remember? I don't know. You probably don't. Those like, I think they were Barbies with like sparking skates, and they were a fire hazard because they were basically
I don't remember this.
It was a Barbie with clear plastic skates, they were built onto her, so like she didn't actually have feet. It was just these clear plastic skates with like the flint mechanism of a lighter in it, so that when you rolled her on the ground, it sparked. But the problem is sparks catch fire.
Right? Yeah, you do that on a carpet, it's gonna set a fire.
So it looks a lot like that. These like rollerblade Barbies. But it's also clearly an adult who's just like a skilled rollerblader doing like tricks and stuff as he goes, skates backwards.
The big one that they do is the one that like anybody, like I can do this and I'm not that strong a skater on ice or rollerblades, but to like pretend to be out of control, like you can wave your arms and kick your feet a lot and really not be in any danger. They're doing quite a lot of that. And then there's like 2 or 3 cuts of the big Spinneroonie, and I was like, I mean, he's just spinning. Like this is not particularly out of control looking. I thought he was going to go through the garage door, which I honestly think would have been cooler. Smash.
but then you have to ask, like, do we do a cutout or do we do just like a hole?
No, I want the garage door to just get like knocked all the way in, just like a big.
Okay. And then we get a like on par with Buffy the Vampire Slayer level of stunt doubles.
Yes.
When the stunt double gets hit by a car and it's suddenly a 30-year-old man and not a 9-year-old.
A 30-year-old man wearing football pads.
Yeah. Oh, but also, like, I was thinking about it, and rocket skates are a terrible murder weapon idea. Like, you have to be wearing them in order for them to really kill you.
Yeah.
Because if you put them on their side, they can't go. If there's like laying down in your house, they can't do anything if the rockets activate.
Yeah, that's true. But maybe the skates have like a weight sensor in them, so it's like if you stand up on them, they activate.
Maybe the movie could have explained how any of these toys worked. Are they sentient?
All of these things are 100% magic. Like, this is complete nonsense.
But, like, is the toy sentient? Is it, like...
Right.
Is it, like, remote controlled?
We see them, like, have wires.
Yeah, I'm confused. So he gets hit by a car.
I really wanted, instead of it being, like, rolling up on the windshield, I think it would have looked way cooler as if, like, we had the shot of the car and then we had the kid, like, flying through the air and, like, landing in a bush or a trash can or something.
I mean, maybe, yeah, because then that would have also been clearer that he wasn't dead.
Yeah.
Because I assumed he died until they showed him next in, like, the bandage, like, your favorite thing, the bandage head.
My dream role.
Yeah. But he's, like, moaning and groaning about, like, it wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
And then Derek's mom shows up at the hospital and be like, I'm so sorry, this was a terrible accident. Like, what a terrible accident. And the, like, shithead neighbor kid's mom is like, you think this was an accident? Look at this. And she holds up the roller skates with wires coming out, and the mom goes, well, what is this? And the neighbor goes, you tell me. And I was like, okay, again, why would I know?
Yes, yeah. It's like, well, he stole them from your trash can, Angela. It's like, well, he took them from us? What? Was this supposed to kill my kid?
I was very confused. I was like, I feel like that mom should be like, okay, what do I do now?
Yeah. And also, like, it should have a little rocket, not a little wire. There should be
it needed a little, like, you know how, like, when you light a bottle rocket, the bottom gets that, like, broken out thing?
Yeah, blown out. Yeah. I will say, though, rocket skate's definitely a dangerous thing because I rewatched several of the Jackass movies when the trailer for the new one dropped. I have no shame about this. I think they're genuinely hilarious.
I'm just concerned that, like, as 40-year-old men,
they're gonna
your bodies really can't handle things.
No, it's going to be bad. Johnny Knoxville, I have always found him very charming. Like I genuinely think he has, like, he's a Dolly Parton actor. Like he can be charming and like in the right role is perfectly serviceable. And I was, Action Park is, I was a theme park dork. Like I was very curious. So I watched like his version, which was like a plotted movie but also he does all these stunts and he like destroyed himself. Like he broke a vertebrae. Like he really badly hurt himself. And it's like, yeah, bud, you're almost 50. Like stop.
I'm nearly 30. And for me, Jackass is like, I leaned under the couch to get something that rolled under. And now my arm, like I pulled a back muscle.
Yeah, I was going on a hike and I went to put my backpack on and on my left thumb, like it pulled it the wrong direction. This was a month ago almost, and my thumb still hurts. I very clearly like yanked it out of socket a little bit. Like not enough that it's debilitating, but if I like put a sock on wrong, my thumb hurts. I'm about to be 35. Like Johnny, stop jumping off shit.
You can't do it anymore.
Right.
Pass the baton to a younger idiot from TikTok.
Which I think is what they're doing in this new movie. Like there's a lot of younger folks who are like sort of in it. So that's my vibe.
Gotcha.
But anyway, I'll just say in one of the first 2 or 3 Jackass movies, again, I don't remember which one it was, they make rocket skates. Like they strap they strap a bunch of bottle rockets to roller skates or rollerblades.
But won't like that explode on your feet? Like, I understand, like, the propulsion aspect I'm fine with.
It's kind of, the ones that you'd get that would just go like, pew, and scream and didn't really pop at the end?
Oh, okay.
So it's just like a propulsion mechanism, but it does genuinely, like, knock them over a lot. Like, until they figure out, like, someone eventually cracks the code and is like, learns how to balance it. But it's like, your feet go way faster than they're supposed to. And it, like, if you could really hurt yourself very bad.
Yes. Do they wear helmets? They wear helmets.
Sometimes, not enough.
Wasn't the guy from Westchester part of that group?
Yeah, Bam Margera.
Thank you.
And Ryan Dunn, the one who died.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, he didn't. He died drunk driving like an asshole. But he yeah. Anyway, the creepy, the handsome stalker knocks on the door and is like, "Hey, Derek, I got a present for you." And it's wrapped in that custom wrapping paper. And he's like, "You don't know me, but I want to be your friend." And I was like, "Oh boy."
I was like, "We are, hey, buddy, I don't know if you've ever seen an after school special, but you're in one."
Right.
And you're not the good guy in it.
He needs to watch Kids Save the Video and learn not to open the door.
Yeah, you need Andrea Martin in braces and a long t-shirt.
Yes. To tell you not to open the door to strangers.
Make cinnamon toast.
And so the babysitter intervenes, very smartly shuts and locks the door.
But like why did it take her so long to intervene?
Okay, fair. She was definitely gapping.
He was like
phone.
One hand. It was like, you know those scenes in movies where they're like, where their hand, it's a close up of the hand reaching for the other hand, and he's about to be like grabbed in like a bad way. We're like watching this happen for 5 minutes, and then she's like, "Oh wait, what?"
Yeah. But she gets there, she locks the door, and then he's like, "I just wanted to talk to the mom." And she's like, "She's not here." I'm like, "Don't say that." Okay. And then she's
you
like,
also need to watch after school specials. Kids Saves the Video.
Yeah. Where is she? Oh, she's at her office. Well, where's that? The address is She's on the 5th floor. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Don't give this information out.
Hold the fuck up.
This man could be a lunatic.
He probably is.
So we cut to the creepy parking garage where at her office, and she's, walking to her car, and the creepy handsome.
I always freak myself out walking alone like this.
Sure.
Like every time I walk alone, I hear the click clack click like of my footsteps. Every time I'm like, I turn to the one shot in the Golden Girls where they shot something on location and it feels weird.
Yeah, no, parking garages are inherently unsettling. They're weird spaces. They're never well lit. Like you can't light them well. Yeah. But the handsome stalker is there, and you're like, oh, this is going to be bad. Nope, they're going to have sex in his van.
Well, no, first, he says her name, she drops her key, and then she sees his face and runs, and then he chases her, and he grabs her. I was like, whoa, buddy, like, if you want to talk to her, just say, hey, hi, I'm not going to hurt you. My hands are in the air. There's nothing in them. I have no weapons. Let's calmly talk.
Yeah.
That is the only way to approach as a white man.
Yeah.
In a parking garage.
That just made me think, I was once walking back to my car in Baltimore, and I was going down, like, I went from a very populated part of the street to a less populated part of the street. And, it was like, this strip of the same road is like, residential, but also businesses. And I was leaving the business part because I had parked in the residential side. And I was walking like 10 feet behind this woman, and I was like going to have to turn right down this alley to get to where my car was. And I was like, hey, I just want to tell you that I'm going to turn right down that alley in case you were also going to turn right down that alley. I didn't want you to think I was following you. Like, I'm sorry for interrupting your night, but I just want you to know, like, I'm going to turn right in like 10 yards. So if you were going to turn right, just like, I'm just announcing that I'm planning to turn right. And I was like, I literally put on a turn signal for a pedestrian turn because I was just like so afraid this woman was going to be like, oh, this dude's a creep and he's going to attack me. Like, I was like that John Mulaney joke of like, I started running and she started running. So I started running after her, and I realized like, oh, I'm chasing this woman. Like,
I'm now chasing her.
Yeah. I was like, oh no. So yeah, I get it. Parking garages are creepy. Alleys are creepy.
So they bone.
Yeah. And we're cross-cutting between them boning.
I hate it. I
have never seen this before in anything. Like, I don't even know if anyone's ever made a pornography in which this is a thing. Like, we're cross-cutting on thrusts to go from one couple to the other, and it's buck wild. Like, the craziest choice I can imagine of
I hate it.
Like, they're doing it, and the babysitter puts Derek to sleep in his mom's bed and then goes to have sex in Derek's bed, which is so fucked up.
It's
like,
gross. I hate this. I hate it. I hate all of it.
Yeah, like, look, babysitters using the kid's house to have sex, tale as old as time. The couch, the floor, anything but the child's bed.
Yeah, that's no thank you.
If you have to move stuffed animals off the place, you shouldn't have sex there. If it's not your home,
I have stuffed animals.
If it's not your home,
I was like, I own a lot of stuffed animals, and
I'm saying if you're moving someone else's stuffed animals out of the way, you shouldn't be having sex there.
There we go. But it's two like very long, gratuitous sex scenes, and I was like, we don't need those together.
Right. And also, there's like no nudity and no anything in either of them. So it's like, what is the point of this in this movie? Like, if it's a bunch of gratuitous nudity, it's like, all right, it's the home video market. I see what we're doing here, but it's just like weird, like lots of kissing, sensual, and hand touching. Yes, a lot of belly kissing, which is like so. I always feel so weird for actors when they have to do that kind of stuff. Like, it's very intimate. It's strange.
It is. So we learned that Derek is Handsome Stalker's child. He used to date the mom, I guess.
Right. And then he went in the army.
Well, she's like, you weren't ready to settle down. And I was like, you couldn't provide stability. And I was like, well, he went into the army. That feels like that's not how I would read that situation. But
right. That's a pretty responsible thing that you can do, all things considered.
Yeah.
Also, the other couple, allegedly the teenagers who are 35, this dude is mauling this actress. He is like really grabbing her breast, like aggressively, like in.
I hope they knew each other and were friends.
Yeah, but it's like it doesn't feel cool for what essentially two strangers have to do to each other in the movie. It's just he's just like really grabbing her and stuff.
And then the moron can't even tell. So Mickey Rooney dumps a bunch of toys in the door.
Yes.
And they all attack. But first it's this like rubber hand that's clearly just like a dude with a rubber hand on, like a rubber glove on. And he's...
not a rubber glove like a doctor, like a fake hand made of rubber. Just
thank you. Clear. Yes, like a latex fake. It's like the kind you would hang on a door at Halloween that's like a disembodied hand that knocks.
Or people like hang out of their trunk.
Yes, exactly. We get some gay jokes where it goes for his butt, and he's like, I like that.
Actually, no. See, here's the thing that's a huge bummer. You think it's going to be a butt stuff joke, right? Like, it is framed as like, oh, it's
that's what it is.
No, it's framed like, oh, it's sticking its finger up his butt. But then we cut to what it's doing, and he still has his underwear on, and the hand is just like gently touching his butt. And then I got in my head of like, wait a minute. This woman's never touched her partner's butt, like ever. Like, this man's never had his butt squeezed just like playfully by his partner.
A good Christmas goose.
Right. I'm just like, oh, you're both in the kitchen. You got to squeeze by one another. Hey there, how you doing? While doing anything more intimate than that, like you've never had your butt touched ever. You poor man. Like what a weird.
Well, I think it's the Mickey Rooney of it all, where he said there will be no nudity. I think this was supposed to be a bare butt.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, obviously, it's making.
If there's no tighty whities on this butt, you just assume it's going in.
Right. Yeah. Oh, for sure. But he's like way into it. And the other thing is neither of them can figure out like that this hand doesn't belong. At one point, it's like on her breast and she puts it on his shoulder. Like she puts what she thinks is his left hand over his left shoulder. And I was like, arms don't work like that.
He's not Gumby.
Yeah, it's like I can touch my left shoulder with my left arm if I put my elbow over my head. His elbow is like underneath her. Like if you did that, it would be a disembodied arm, lady.
It's just so, and then this is where they get attacked and pretty much murdered. But like I don't get why these people got such a long drawn out death.
Yeah, it's really, really wild because we get like a ton of toys in here that are all doing cool stuff. They actually
You had one of them. You had the army guy.
Yeah, it was the army guy that would like crawl, and then the gun would go like ka 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 ka, and the light would flash. But in this version, it shoots very tiny bullets, which like the practicality of it is incomprehensible, but still funny. And then this little tank rolls up and shoots her in the chest, and it like her chest explodes. Like there's a huge hole in her chest.
It's chopping mall level.
Yeah,
like it's a hole.
Yeah, it's a hole in her chest. Like you can't see through her, but it's like, oh, this woman's clearly dead. And then she like rolls over and is still not dead.
She survives.
I know. She's like the Black Knight in Monty Python. It's like she gets shot in the chest. She gets shot a second time. Then this like little chompy gator takes a huge chomp of her thigh. And then there's a really hilarious part where she has to like sell that this thing is attacking her. So she picks it up, but then falls over and puts it over her own head, which I just like could not.
I will say I thought Chompy Gator was going for hoo-ha, and I was not okay with it.
Yeah. It's that is definitely what they film it as. Like, oh, it's gonna bite her in the crotch, and then it's at the very last second it takes a chomp of a thigh.
Oh, also the shitty kid is again watching it. He like creeps open the door and watches them bone, and he sees the toys attack and doesn't say shit about it.
He doesn't. Not only does he not say anything, he does. It's like, okay, he's mute, whatever. Bang on the floor, make noise, slam the door, scream, do anything.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
The guy is getting attacked by this like RC car thing that has like saw blades pop out of it and then a drill.
Well, and it looks somehow... like, have you seen those, the meat tenderizers that you stamp down? It's like a handle with spikes.
Like a blade tenderizer?
Yeah, it looks like that on the bottom.
Yeah, the RC car does a wheelie and holds it, and then these spikes come out, and then it launches somehow, like springs into his chest and spikes him in the chest, and then is like drilling into his chin, and these saw blades cut his neck. It's really wild.
It is. I mean, it's a cool sequence. It just feels weird for these two characters that we don't really know.
Yeah, it's a wildly over the top and super, super silly. And then at one point, like this superhero action figure starts flying around the room and doing stuff.
Exploding, running into things.
Yeah, the best part is like in a couple minutes, like in a minute when it comes out the window.
Yes. This is where they say his name is Joe Petto, and I was like,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I also really like they have this really silly looking like googly-eyed rubber snake that's like strangling him and like attacking them. Or I guess it wraps around her hands.
It wraps around her hands.
Yeah. But it's just like very goofy looking. I like very much.
It's just that classic rubber snake you see in every like cheapy children's toy store.
Yeah. I like this sequence very much. It's ridiculous and over the top, but it's delightfly insane.
It's the R-rated version of Toys, the movie Toys with Robin Williams.
Yeah, the Robin Williams. Yeah.
So mom and handsome stalker get home, and then the babysitter throws her bloody body onto the hood of the car and is like, help me. And I was like, you're alive?
Exactly. Like, how are you not dead? And at this point,
why won't you die?
Exactly. This is when the superhero toy comes out the window, narrowly misses them, crashes into a classic wrestling metal trash can, and that blows up.
Yep. And then mom jumps into the car and drives her. She's like, I'm going to get my kid. And he's like, well,
Mickey
hang
Rooney
on.
Kidnapped the boy with the Santa sack. We did not say that.
And then the neighbor runs up as mom drives away, and he's like, take this here. You look after the babysitter. Call the police. Send the police. And she's like, where? And he doesn't. He just runs away.
Yeah.
So he follows her on foot. She drives to the toy store, and he runs there.
Yes, that is certainly what it's made it to be. Also, we didn't mention he at this point has told her like, oh, Joe has a history of making killer toys. And it's like, wait a minute, you're telling me, like, I know it was the 80s or 90s and the information did not travel quite so fast, but you're telling me this man made a bunch of toys that killed children and then went like 3 towns over and opened a toy store and nobody
and
was
didn't
like,
change his name.
Right. It's like, oh, Joe Pedo, the killer toy maker. There needs to be like a pedo's law, like Megan's law, where it's like, if you try to kill children with toys, you got to put out a list before you open another toy store.
I mean, they wouldn't call it that because pedo laws are about other things in this country.
Well, Joe Pedo's law.
So handsome stalker.
The handsome stalker also yells, "Let the police handle this!" as she drives away. And it's like, yeah, okay, buddy. Have you ever been in a horror movie before? Good luck explaining this nonsense to the cop.
Yeah. Although, just be like, hey, he's a creepy old man. He took my kid.
Yeah, I guess so. So
blame
she gets
Satan. And then everyone will get up in arms about it.
That's true. That's true. She gets to the front door of the toy store, which is made of glass, and she like bangs on it twice and is like, I can't get in, and then starts going around the back. I'm like, lady, throw the trash can through the window. Like, just break it. It's glass.
So they're both exploring the toy store and the house. This toy store is much bigger on the inside than it seems.
It's a TARDIS toy store.
Yeah. And Mickey Rooney squirts Handsome Stalker with a squirt gun, and I was like, if that was acid and Handsome Stalker isn't handsome anymore, I'm mad, Mickey.
Yeah, that would have been good. It's silly that it's not. Also, like she's like looking through their apartment, which is on the second floor. The Handsome Stalker like picks the lock and he's going through the toy store, and we're like cutting between these. There's just this like train making loops with nobody doing it, and then a pot of something boiling on the stove. And I was like, oh man, someone's gonna get boiling water.
On the stove.
Yeah, it's like a little pot, and it's like the flame is on. I was like, ooh, someone's gonna get boiling water. Nope, nope. It's just a thing that happened to be there.
So mom makes her way down the cellar that isn't a cellar in this building, and finds Mickey Rooney's body in a like Santa sack, and then turns around to see Mickey Rooney, and I was like, there's been 2 Mickeys this whole time?
I thought, I still hadn't put together Geppetto and Pinocchio at this point, so I was like, is this a twin thing? What's happening now?
And then he pulls his face off and hands the Mickey Rooney face to her, and it is suddenly not Mickey Rooney's face anymore.
Yeah. Well, I thought it did look like a life cast of him, but just like a real like a death.
I thought it just looked like generic old man. It missed
I guess
some of his like jowls.
Yeah.
So then he Pinocchio puts on his own face and takes off his Santa suit, and it's this really rad like human-sized Ken doll costume.
Yeah,
that I really
awesome.
like. It looks so cool.
The plastic hair in particular is such a good part of this. But I was like, I'm like, wait, has he always been a robot, or is this like an alternate Pino? Like, what's going on here now? And then Pino proceeds to explain it for the idiots like me who are watching the movie. That's like, father wanted a boy, but he couldn't have one, so he built
his
me.
His wife
boy.
died pregnant, or whatever.
Yeah.
He looks like was it a Duracell commercial line in the 90s?
He also has like kind of I guess it's not a Crash Test Dummy vibe, but like that's like if you were animated G.I. Joe man, that's what he would look like.
Yeah, it looked like my C-3PO costume when I did that Star Wars musical.
Yeah.
And then we get a dick joke.
Yeah, we get it. He's like, but he wouldn't give me a penis. Ha ha. And then he tries to have sex with her using his Ken
I hated
doll
that.
bump.
I was like, so he's like, you can be my mother. And then all of a sudden he like lifts her and puts her like spreads her legs and puts her on the counter and gets him in between her legs. And I was like, well, hold the fucking phone, Pinocchio.
Like what Oedipal nonsense is this? And he's like thrusting his Ken doll bump at this woman and just like, you can be my mother. Ha 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 ha. It's just
I want you.
weird.
I love you. And I was like, but like, what led from A to B or A to Z in this case? Because there's some other steps along the way.
Right. So she like grabs a screwdriver, she stabs him in the head. It looks really cool. And then he's like, well, I'm going to kill your son now. And he can't remember which bag the boy is in, which I find hysterical.
It's very like video game villain logic where it's like For some reason, there are 6 identical red bags hanging.
Yes, one of them is the secret key. You need to kill me.
So he eventually stabs the kid's sack open, and the kid like jumps out and jumps on his back, and just proceeds to scream, "Mommy, help me!" for 5 minutes. And I was like, never mind, this kid can die. Never mind, we're good.
He's like trying to choke the robot, and I was like, it's a robot, kid. Like, you know the game here, right? You can't kill that thing like that. And
then Handsome Stalker shows up and swings an axe and takes off Pinocchio's arm, and then Pinocchio beats the shit out of him for 5 minutes, and then finally Mom decides to pitch in. Yeah, exactly. It's very much like Demi Moore in Ghost, where it's like Patrick Swayze's getting slowly murdered, and she's like, oh no. If only there was something I could do.
Oh no. Oh, I guess I'll just stand back here and watch. Like, lady, get in there. Flying knee.
Grab the axe or the knife or anything in this
throw your
workshop
body
of
in
horrors.
there. Yeah. Use Mickey Rooney's bloated corpse. Just anything.
Toss a Mickey Rooney.
She cuts him in half at the waist.
She cuts him in half, and then they pick up Derek and hug together, all 3 of them. And Derek goes, "Mommy, who is this?" And they all laugh.
Yes. And she's like, "I'll tell you when we get home." I was like, just tell him right now. Like, this is like, what are you waiting for?
That's not also, "This is secretly your father" is not an all group laugh moment.
Right, exactly. Like, oh, haha, your world's about to be torn asunder.
Well, his dad already died, so like.
I agreed. Yeah, it's all going to be, this kid needs a lot of therapy.
And then Pinocchio grabs Mom's foot, and so she just like goes crazy and smashes him. And then the boy in like a weird ADR line is like, "Why are you scared, Mommy? It's just a toy." And I was like, okay, it clearly is not, but whatever, you little shit.
Right.
And so they leave, and then he like pokes his head back in the room and goes, "It's just a toy." And then that's when we end. And I was like, huh?
Yeah, very confusing. It's like, are we setting up a sequel where he's the Toymaker? Like, what are you trying to tell me here?
Yeah.
Hearty recommend for me. Double thumbs up. Really love it.
I agree. It's very fun. It's so short. It's fun.
Yeah. Even with the ads on Tubi, it's like right around 100 minutes. So like, obviously, gets Shudder.
I think it's even less than that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I was doing research in the commercial break, so it was useful for doing a podcast. But yeah, highly recommend. Watch this. It's insane. It's very silly. It's very, very fun. Mickey Rooney is awesome in it. Like, genuinely very good. Can't give this enough of a recommend.
Always good to see Mickey.
Yeah, found this out of nowhere. We were like we had a gap in the schedule for reasons I can't recall why. And it was just like, really struggling to figure out what to watch. Stumbled upon this and really thrilled that we did. Super, super fun. Exactly what I want out of this kind of movie. Like, fun end to end, no lulls, really good stuff. Highly, highly silly and highly, highly recommended. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Don't forget to give us a Christmas present this year and review the show. If you haven't done that yet, go review it on whatever service you get the podcast from. And if it's not Apple, then send us a screenshot at dissectingthe80s@gmail.com, and we read those on the air. If you want even more Dissecting the 80s, including a great bonus episode about Footloose that just dropped, and Christmas-mentary that's dropping later this month on something very fun, that'll be out on Christmas Day, go check out patreon.com/dissectingthe80s. At the $5 tier, you get a ton of bonus content. We're approaching 20 hours. I think we're probably going to we should be getting close to 20 hours. Or hit 20 hours at the end of December, and all sorts of really great stuff there. So go check that out. And you can find us on Twitter at @DissectThe80s and on Facebook as well. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back in 2 weeks to wrap up the year with the Ed Asner movie, The Christmas Star, which is on Disney+.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can check that out there. And until then, I have been Tripp Leno.
I will always be Andrew Leno.
Until next time.
Don't you forget about me.
Dissecting the 80s is a Chum Some of This production.